What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Flames back at it again. With another video. Today, man, about to be reading on First Kings chapter 3 and 4. Um, Normally, these chapters are kind of short. I normally would make them into two videos, regardless, with this kind of length. I had a very long day today at work. I'm very tired. I'm about to go to sleep. I normally don't go to sleep till like 4 a.m., but I don't know for sure, but might be making this and going to bed. So we're about to just make this one video today. Bear with me. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I love y'all so much. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right to it. All right. Solomon's prayer for wisdom. Solomon made a marriage alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had finished building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. People were sacrificing at the high places, however, because no house had yet been built for the name of the Lord. Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and made offerings at the high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask what I shall give you." And Solomon said, "You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant David my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness and righteousness and in uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne this day. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of David my father. Although I am but a little child, I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this your great people?" It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this. And God said to him, "Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself a long life or riches or the life of your enemies, but have asked yourself understanding to discern what is right, behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall arise after you." So I'm saying Solomon's the wisest person in the history of the whole earth, bro. You're about to see how crazy this gets. How far this gets him, and also how he kind of messes things up for himself. How he self-sabotages himself despite how wise and how smart he was, right? Um, okay. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you. This is also due to this is gonna kind of correlates, I feel like, with his wisdom, because that's gonna what ends up making him his wealth. But we'll read that. We'll read that. Um, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days. And if you walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Then he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and peace offerings, and made a feast for all his servants. Solomon's wisdom. The two prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. The one woman said, "O my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I gave birth to a child while she was in the house. Then on the third day after I gave birth, this woman also gave birth, and we were alone. There was no one else with us in the house. Only we two were in the house. And this woman's son died in the night because she lay on him. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while your servant slept, and laid him at her breast. And laid her dead son at my breast. When I rose in the morning to nurse my child, behold, he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning, behold, he was not the child that I had born. He was not the child that I had born. But the other woman said, No, the living child is mine, and the dead child is yours. The first said, No, the dead child is yours, and the living is mine. Thus they spoke before the king. Then the king said, The one says, This is my son that is alive, and your son is dead. And the other says, No, your son is dead, and mine is the living one. And the king said, Bring me a sword. So the sword was brought before the king, and the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then the woman whose son was alive said to the king, because her heart yearned for her son, O my lord, give her the living child, and by no means put him to death. The other said, He shall be neither mine nor yours, divide him. Then the king answered and said, Give the living child to the first woman, and by no means put him to death. She is his mother. And all Israel heard the judgment the king had rendered, and they stood in awe of the king, because he perceived that the wisdom of God was in him to do justice. Dog, that is some like 300 IQ plays right there. Bro, he just read her like a book. Bro, that is so smart. Crazy. That's wisdom. That wittiness, bro. That's wisdom. That's crazy. That's what Solomon's about. Okay, Solomon's officials. King Solomon was king over. Chapter 4 now. King Solomon was king over all Israel, and these were his high officials. Azariah, the son of Zadok, was the priest. Eliphoreth and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, were secretaries. Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahud, was his recorder. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was in command of the army. Zadok and Abiathar were priests. Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers. Zabad, the son of Nathan, was priest and king's friend. Ashar was in charge of the palace, and Adoram, the son of Abda, was in charge of the forced labor. Solomon had 12 officers all over Israel who provided food for the king and his household. Each man had to make provision for 1 month in the year. These were their names: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Decker and Makaz, Shelbam, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon Beth-Hanan. Ben-Hesed, we're about to get into a lot of names here. And Ababoth, to him belonged Soko and all the land of Hefer. Ben-Adnadab and all Naphath Dor. He had Taphath, the daughter of Solomon, as his wife. Bana, the son of Ahud, and Tanak. Megiddo and all of Bethshean that is beside Zarethan below Jezreel, and from Bethshean to Abel Mahola as far as the other side of Jokneam. Ben-Geber and Ramoth Gilead. He had the villages of Jair, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead, and he had the region of Argob, which is in Bashan. 60 great cities with walls and bronze bars. Anadab, the son of Iddo, and Manaim. Ahimaaz and Naphtali. He had taken Basemath, the daughter of Solomon, as his wife. Bana, the son of Hushai, and Asher and Beloth. Jehoshaphat, the son of Puriah, and Issachar. Shimi, the son of Elah, and Benjamin. Gabriel, the son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, in the country of Shion, the king of the Amorites, and Og, the king of Bashan. And there was one governor who was over the land. Solomon's wealth and wisdom. Judah and Israel were as many as the sand by the sea. They ate and drank and were happy. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Ephrates to the land of the Philistines and to the border of Egypt. I don't know if it was David that did this, but Solomon might have territory wise, like at his time of rule, I think they might have had the most territory when he was ruling as king. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been David. It might be somebody else, but he had a great amount of wealth, more than it was. I think he was equivalent to pretty much a trillionaire. I don't know how accurate that statement is, but that's kind of his amount of wealth that he ended up acquiring was of that kind of statute. That's kind of how you have to look at this guy. And he didn't ask for it, right? He asked for discernment and wisdom. He didn't ask for the riches. Judah and Israel was many of the land. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Ephrates to the land of the Philistines and the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. Solomon's provision for one day was 30 cores of fine flour and 60 cores of meal, 10 fat oxen, and 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep, besides deer, gazelles, roebucks, and fattened fowl. For he had dominion over all the region west of the Euphrates, from Tiphsah to Gaza, over all the kings west of the Euphrates, and he had peace on all sides around him. And Judah and Israel lived in safety, from Dan even to Beersheba, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, all the days of Solomon. Solomon also had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Just Solomon, not Israel or Solomon, right? And those officers supplied provisions for King Solomon and all who came to King Solomon's table, each one in his month. They let nothing be lacking. Barely also and straw for the horses and swift steeds they brought to the place where it was required, each according to his duty. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding beyond measure, and breadth of mind like the sand on the seashore, so that Solomon's wisdom surpassed the wisdom of all the people of the east and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all other men, wiser than Ethan the Israelite, and Heman, Calcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol, and his fame was in all the surrounding nations. So I guess those were other wise people of the time. He also spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. The book of Proverbs is one of, if not my favorite book in the whole Bible. I've been I used to read like Proverbs like before I went like played in like sports games and stuff like that. Like it's really, really good stuff. And a lot of it is just telling you to like shut up, and it's kind of funny, like, and just be humble. Like surface level, right? It's more complicated than that, but it's really good stuff. I recommend if you haven't read the book of Proverbs that you should try it. You should read it. And he spoke of trees from the cedar that is in Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of the wall. He also spoke of beasts and of birds and of reptiles and of fish. And people of all nations came to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and from all the kings of the earth who had heard his wisdom. So he just kind of just knew a lot about a lot of things, and educated in a lot of different areas, and was just hyper intelligent and just very wise and honorable, right? Um, but yeah, that's the end of these chapters. I really appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate your time, and God bless you. And I'm gonna catch you guys tomorrow. I love you. Thank you for watching, and yeah, peace.